All the little performers and Amrita to come, and please give them a very big hand. Now, Mrs. Devi Rajgopal, a Bal Vikas alumnus and the Bal Vikas coordinator of Mumbai, will read the report of Mahila activities for the year 2017-18 and the projects for the year 2018-19.
ईश्वरमा दिवस के इस पावन अवसर पर यहाँ इकट्ठे सभी को मेरा प्यार भरा नमस्कार। Indian culture worships the mother as God. The Vedas have always enjoined mankind to revere the mother as divine. Matra Devo Bhava. Swami always says that there is nothing higher than the mother's love, and the seeds of greatness in children are often laid by the tender hands of mothers. From May 1st to May 6th, we've been celebrating Eshwaramma Day for this whole week by organizing different programs in our communities all over the country. लेकिन ईश्वरमा दिवस को हम सही मायने में कैसे मनाना चाहिए? ये दिवस हमें माँ की ओर हमारे कर्तव्य की याद दिलाती है। इसलिए माँ की आंखों में कभी आंसू न आने दीजिए और हमेशा उन्हें खुश रखिए। अगर वो नहीं रहे तो उनकी याद, उनका स्मरण प्यार और कृतज्ञता से कीजिए। दूसरी बात ये कि however old or great you may be, you can still never be greater than your mother. सन 2000 में श्री सत्य साई ट्रस्ट महाराष्ट्र ने ईश्वरम्मा फाउंडेशन की स्थापना की, जिसके अंतर्गत जरूरतमंद बच्चों का पढ़ाई के लिए छात्रवृत्ति या स्कॉलरशिप दी जाती है। This scholarship is available to the girl child from Maharashtra and Goa from the following: that is adopted Sai colonies, adopted villages, and the Sri Satya Sai school. It is available from 9th standard up to graduation. जो लड़की ये स्कॉलरशिप के लिए अप्लाई करना चाहती है, उन्हें इस साल के मार्च की अंतिम परीक्षा में एटलीस्ट 70% मार्क्स मिलना जरूरी है और परिवार की साल भर की आमदनी शहरों के लिए 1,20,000 के ऊपर और एडॉप्टेड विलेजेस के लिए 60,000 या 60,000 के ऊपर नहीं होना चाहिए। The child's attendance in Bal Vikas classes should be at least 80%. And she should be a regular student of Bal Vikas for a minimum of 6 years. This is applicable to the students of the Sri Satyasai schools as well. इस साल स्कॉलरशिप का रकम तो दिया जाएगा वो इस प्रकार से है। 9वीं और 10वीं कक्षाओं के लिए 2000, 11वीं और 12वीं के लिए 5000 और ग्रेजुएशन या कॉलेज स्टडीज के लिए 10,000 दिए जाएंगे। ये फाउंडेशन विधवा एवं जरूरतमंद महिलाओं को स्वावलंबी बनाने के लिए टेलरिंग, फैब्रिक पेंटिंग, एम्ब्रॉयडरी और मेहंदी की सर्टिफिकेट कोर्सेज भी चलाती है। इस साल 14 लड़कियों ने टेलरिंग का प्रथम वर्ष की परीक्षा में उत्तीर्ण हुए हैं और 2 विद्यार्थी हायर कोर्स भी कर चुके हैं। 5 students have successfully completed the मेहंदी कोर्स। इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग कोर्सेज की व्यवस्था भी है, जहां स्कूल और कॉलेज के बच्चे इंग्लिश बोलना और पढ़ना सीखते हैं। ये सब के साथ इन लड़कियों को मानवीय मूल्य और आत्मीयता का ज्ञान हर हफ्ते की स्टडी क्लास में दी जाती है। Women play a very important role in the progress of a nation, and hence they need to be strong spiritually and possess good culture. With this aim in mind, Swami had established the Mahila Vibhag। पहली समिति और सर्वप्रथम महिला विभाग मुंबई में प्रारंभ हुआ। महिलाएं सत्य साई सेवा संगठन के हर कार्यक्रम में बहुत उत्साह के साथ हिस्सा लेती हैं, चाहे वो भजन हो, बाल विकास हो। आजकल हम बाल विकास घरों में ही नहीं, स्कूल विद्यालयों में भी करने लगे हैं। प्रोटीन फूड बनाना हो या मोबाइल मेडिकल सेवा हो। 2019 is a golden jubilee year of the Mahila Vibhag and the Bal Vikas, and hence many programs are being thought of, and we pray to our beloved Bhagwan to bless us in all our endeavors. Thank you. Sai.
Now we come to the most important part of today's program. It gives us great pleasure to introduce the chief guest of the day, Dr. Neelam Bipin Chandra Desai. Dr. Neelam Desai is a senior consultant and the head of the Department of Cardiothoracic and Vascular Surgery at the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Medical Sciences, better known as the Super Speciality Hospital at Puttaparthi. She is an MBBS, MS General Surgery, MCH Thoracic Surgery, DNB Cardiothoracic Surgery, FIACS. And it is a matter of pride for us in Mumbai as she has completed most of her education in Amchi, Mumbai. And another greater news is that she was a Bal Vikas Guru in Mumbai. Many of our girls are her students. She has performed more than 8,000 cardiothoracic and vascular surgeries on patients of all ages and all types. She has to her credit 36 publications in national and international journals. She is a DNB teacher and a guide to 10 students training under her at Puttaparthi. She was the organizing secretary of the International Conference of Cardiovascular Diseases, the Sri Satya Sai model, on October 25, 2010, held at Puttaparthi, where she also gave 2 talks. She also organized another international conference in December 2013, where she chaired 2 sessions, besides a midterm cardiothoracic CME in August 2015, where she was the chairperson. But her greatest qualification is her unending love for our beloved Swami, which is evident from the fact that she joined the Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences in February 1993 and is working there till today. We welcome you, ma'am, and please request you to please deliver the Eshwaramma Memorial.
salutations to the primordial Lord Ganesha and my most beloved Bhagwan. Dignitaries present here, revered elders, Nimish Bhai, I don't know if you can see him, Kamla Didi, and my dear friends. Yeah, it's a great pleasure. I cannot express my joy and the gratitude, of course, to Didi and Nimish Bhai for calling me here. It's like a homecoming as I stand here before you, talking to you all. I was just seeing the talks and the dances, and I was just recollecting my days when I was a Balavika student and a guru, and I just could not, I was missing all this, Didi. So anyway, God has his other plans, and so it was 25 years ago that I had left Mumbai to go to Puttaparthi, not knowing where I was heading for. It is said, there's a very famous saying that when the caterpillar is getting metamorphosed into a butterfly, the caterpillar, he's undergoing a lot of agony and pains. Maybe some such situation I was undergoing probably because I was going mainly to Puttaparthi on the professional front. I never wanted to leave Mumbai, but of course Bhagavan had called. So what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the master calls it a butterfly. So it was down the line, later on I realized that what was Bhagavan working on a person like me. So on the professional front, I was only a qualified cardiac surgeon with no practical experience. I was a young and fresh lady cardiac surgeon who had been called by Bhagavan to work in his hospital, and I was going there. From a novice to a well-accomplished cardiac surgeon, capable of doing all kinds of cardiac surgeries, a journey scripted by Bhagavan and made possible only by Bhagavan. I would like to share my experience with you all and of my beloved Mother Sai in a humble way. I want to share how what I am today is only and only because of the two mothers in my life who played and who continue to play a very important role in my life. First is my physical mother, of course, who gave birth to this physical body and nourished it with good food and nurtured with good thoughts. And second is my spiritual mother, Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai, who shaped me and rejuvenated me to the present position with all his love and benevolent guidance. For a lady to be a surgeon and then to become a cardiac surgeon, it's tough as it's a male-dominated world. When I was studying for cardiac surgery, I had a female colleague who was also pursuing cardiac surgery. And one day she said, it was at our Sion Hospital Junction, that in our field to survive, she used the word survive, we need a godfather, she said. And least did I know that a day would come when I would have not godfather or godmother, but verily God himself as my mentor, as a friend, a philosopher, and guide. I feel Swami had chopped out my path from childhood onwards because of my mother. I chose to be a doctor. Of course, I like the field also a lot. I ended up taking surgery because when I was in my medical postings, I found that my professors took rounds. They were on a case, they were discussing for an hour, hour and a half, and they ended, it was a paralytic stroke case, and they ended up giving only half tablet of aspirin. So I thought that, and as against that, when I was doing my surgical posting, I saw a patient who came with an acute attack of appendicitis. So my professor of surgery wheeled him into the operation theatre, removed his inflamed diseased appendix, and lo and behold, the patient was fine and he was gone home. So the decision was taken by me, I have to take up surgery. And when I finished surgery, I had right from childhood, I desired to do cardiac surgery, but I always thought it was a very tough branch. And so for my super specialization, I put my choice as pediatric surgery because I liked babies a lot. So I put my first choice as pediatric surgery, but somewhere deep down in my heart, that thing was there of cardiac surgery. So I put my second choice as cardiac surgery. And as it was to be, in the entrance exam, it was the all Maharashtra entrance exam, I had scored 33rd rank. And now as it was dimmed by, as we all say, the Providence has his final say, I was the 32nd person who is in the merit list decides to go to court. So there is a stay order, and the 31 students before have got their admissions in the super specialty course, but not me, because I have to wait till the court okays the stay order. But as it turned out in my favor, I got straight away 9 months to decide. I mean, somewhere something told me, why don't I go and see the cardiac surgery in my hospital, because I'll get a chance to know whether, how difficult it is for a female. So in this 9 months, I went and saw in my Nair hospital the cardiac surgery, and I said, God, it's not so tough, I can do it. But now my choice was, in my application form, my first choice was pediatric surgery and second choice was this. So how was I going to overcome that? So anyway, that was one aspect. Second, I was trying for FRCS. Third thing, I had also applied for Bandra Baba Hospital for a lecturer's post. So now comes the time. I'm called for the super specialty interview for cardiac, my super specialization in KM Hospital, and I'm in a dilemma because I have got 3 options in front of me. Which one to choose, I do not know. And anyway, I decided to go for the cardiac surgery, I decided to go for my super specialty interview. As I'm waiting for my turn to come for the interview, my eyes fall on the poster which is outside the Dean's office of the KM Hospital, and it reads, whenever there is turbulence, there is progress. So, I mean, for me, that sentence kind of clinched the issue and I firmly resolved that if I get the chance, I must take up cardiac surgery. So when I go inside the interview room, I'm told that, look ma'am, there's no vacancy for your first, what you have chosen, your choice. Would you like your second choice? And I just joyously and I jump for the second choice is of course cardiac surgery. And that's how I end up taking up cardiac surgery. Now the seeds which were sown by my mother at a very tender age came to fruition and I became a cardiac surgeon. The impressions which are made in childhood, they go a very long way. It's said, the Karl Marx has said that, give me a child at the age of 6 and I'll make him a communist. Our Bhagwan also starts Balvika's class from a very tender age of 6. These are very lasting impressions. My mother taught me very few lovely things which I must share with you all. My grandfather, that is my dad's father, my mom's father-in-law, he would say for my mother that even if you bury her, she will get up and work. I mean, I would say what a compliment from a father-in-law. Thus, the importance of work was sown in childhood at a very young age, and how this work should be converted into worship was shown by Bhagwan. I did my Balvikas pre-Sevadal, as they have told, and I went on to become Balvikas Guru convener, and I got the opportunity to come close to Bhagwan on 2 different occasions. But it was not till I reached Patti in the year 1993 and I joined the hospital did I get a chance and opportunity to interact with Bhagwan. As usual, the time had not come. When I was studying my second year of, not only that, I always wonder why I missed the inauguration of the hospital, but as usual, the time had not come. When I was studying my second year of cardiac surgery, there was a chest and cardiac radiology NICER conference in Delhi. And my second-in-command boss and myself, we went to attend that conference. From there, we went to meet Professor Venugopal, who has founded the cardiac surgery department in Puttaparthi. So, I used to always wear, even I wear now, the Shirdi Baba ring in my finger. We went to meet him, and when he saw that ring in my finger, he said, "Oh, you are Sai Baba devotee." So my boss knew that I believed in Swami also. So he said, "No, she is also Satya Sai Baba devotee." So there was a sudden sparkle in his eyes, and he said, "Do you know of that hospital which is coming up?" So I said, yeah, I know. So she said, then why don't you come and join that hospital? So I said, yeah, I will. I mean, I was still pursuing my studies, so I just could not outright say, but I said, yes, I will come. So I said, why don't you come for the inauguration? This was in the month of October 91. And just within a month, November 91, there was the inauguration of the hospital. So I said, yes. He said, you come down from Bombay, we are coming down from Delhi, we'll pick you up from the airport and we'll take you for the inauguration. So I said, that's brilliant, I will do that. But as the destiny would have it, the time had not come yet. So there was a heavy storm around in the south. All Bangalore were getting diverted to Madras. I still remember reaching the airport, ringing home from there, and my dad telling me, where will you go alone now, where will you get stranded and all. So I ring him up and I tell him, sir, I am not coming. So I missed the inauguration of the hospital because the time had not yet come to meet the Divine Master. Anyway, I came to the hospital in the month of May 1992 after I finished my exams. I worked there for 13 days, day and night. The team would come, and they would work like in phases, then they will go off. So that time period I worked, didn't see the daylight. Work was not what I think horrified me or terrified me. But when I returned back, I decided, I told my mother, I'm not joining this hospital. So, but as mom would have it, finally say, she said, no, you at least apply to the hospital. You have to give your application. And then in the month of November, I get a phone call from Mr. Rajiv Mahajan. I don't know how many of you are aware of him. He had a big contribution towards the start of the hospital. He still has, of course. So he called me from Parthi. He said, you have to come to Puttaparthi for the interview. So again, there had been the issue of riots in Bombay that time period. And my dad again said, you're not going alone. So Rajiv Mahajan sir said, you bring your dad also. So, but there were no flights. Previous 5 days, no flights had taken off. But Rajiv sir said that tomorrow one flight is going to take off. You take the chance, try and come. So I booked my tickets. We went to the airport next day morning at 6. The flight officer, the person on duty is saying, look ma'am, I have to accommodate all the previous 5 days passengers. But you do one thing, at 8 o'clock you come and the duty changes. If your luck has it, you will get your tickets to go. And at 8 o'clock when I go to him and I explain to him that, see, look, I have to go for an interview in a rural village and this and that. He says, okay, ma'am, give me your tickets. I'll okay them. Then I say, again, I'm not alone, my dad is with me. So he says, okay, bring your dad's tickets too. And so the tickets are confirmed and we are on our way to Puttaparthi by 10:30 a.m. flight. Now at the airport, we are received by Mahajan sir, plus 2 more doctors from Delhi join us. And we reach Parthi. Now, even though I had been to Parthi 2-3 times, I used to always see Bhagavan from outside. I would be hearing his discourses, sitting on the sands of Parthi outside Pune Chandra. If Swami would go by car to Hillview Stadium, we would run after him. That glimpse would give us so much joy, We would never go for regular formal darshans. So I never knew what is called an interview and things like that. So Mr. Mahajan, he told us, listen, tomorrow we are going for darshan at 7 in the morning. When I get up and you see me, you start walking towards me. So I say, okay. So I see that suddenly, you are all aware, in Parthi there's that veranda where Swami would come out. And so Mr. Mahajan stands at that portico and I see him and I start walking towards, and then he takes us into a room. And when the door opens, seated is Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. So it was the interview with Bhagavan. I never knew. I thought it was the interview with the director of the hospital. And it was my first interview with Bhagavan. And that is when Bhagavan asked me to join. And however, I had not finished my 3rd year in Bombay. So I told Bhagavan I can only come and join in February. And that's how I ended up joining the hospital on 1st of February 1993. Now, I was an absolutely raw person. I had just finished my cardiac surgery. And within 3 months of my joining, the only cardiac surgeon who was present in that hospital decides to leave, and I was all alone in the hospital. In my students' days, I had done very few closed heart surgeries, and a barely countable open heart surgeries. I knew I had to tell Bhagwan that maximum I could do was closed heart surgeries. And next day in the darshan line, my mom said, you take some akshad and think and get blessings from Bhagwan. So I sit in the darshan line and there comes Swami. And before I can say anything, he takes the akshad, puts on my head and says, start doing closed heart surgeries. So that's how I start doing, and with his blessings, I start doing 3 to 4 cases daily. So this is my daily routine every day from May to September, August, yeah. I'm doing this 3 to 4 closed heart cases. And then I developed little confidence to do simple open heart surgeries. So I tell my anesthetist, look, I think I can now tackle some simple open hearts if you give me the anesthesia. And I, of course, have to inform Bhagwan. That time again, Bhagwan had gone to Vrindavan, so I decided to go to take his blessings. And I still remember the date, it was 15th of August. And I go to Vrindavan. And again, Bhagwan sees me from far. He comes, throws some chocolates on me and says, start doing open heart surgery. So like, you know, we all know the omniscient Bhagwan. He knows everything. So that's how few more months go by. A new cardiac surgeon joins, a little senior to me. So there were 2 operation theaters. So in one theater, he is doing all complicated cases. And the other theater, madam is doing simple 2-3 cases. And Swami had predicted long ago, because this is how my colleagues end up telling me and nurses that Swami had predicted long back. This Patti will have 2 theatres where there will be one lady surgeon will be operating and one side the theatre will be manned by a gent surgeon. So anyway, and now it so happens in a few months' time this senior cardiac surgeon also again vanishes. And again I'm left all alone. So now again Dr. Venugopal enters into the picture and he tells me, he comes and sees me and he says, start doing bypass cases. Bypass cases are considered a little higher in our surgery thing, a bit more tougher cases, challenging cases. So I told him, look, I cannot do bypass cases, I need some training and all that. Saying, if you don't start doing bypass cases, I'll pack you back to Bombay. He said. He knew I was from Mumbai, so I kept quiet. And then very soon, I think Bhagwan, in his mercy, he sent me to All India Institute for a month's training under Dr. Venugopal. And then after I finished my month of training in All India Institute, Bhagwan sent a word that tell her to get trained for another 1 month in pediatric cardiac surgery. So I took 1 more month training in small babies pediatric cardiac surgery. Now, in this 2 months of my training in All India Institute, I have not performed a single surgery. So I come back, I said, this is the first thing I have to inform Bhagwan, lest he think that I'll start operating. I mean, it's not possible. So when Bhagwan called us for the interview, I said, Bhagwan, I have not performed a single operation. So again, in his beautiful smiling way, he said, Tumhare liye dekhna kafi hai. For you seeing is enough. Because the rest all he is only going to do, no? I mean, why are you worried? I am there. So you do not worry. This all setting for training and all is all. Right, Charlie, finally I am doing, you are just my instrument. Like. So it's like this that you have seen enough, and verily with His grace I started doing all the kinds of cases I had seen at AIMS. And Swami guided me slowly in my professional life. It's wisely said always that when one is lying down, one has to learn to sit and then he has to get up, to walk before he can run. Meaning to accomplish anything in life, it will take time and by a definite process. And Baba never imposed upon me. He asked me after a few months of my joining, that do you want to be here? Do you want to work here? Do you want to stay here? And then slowly and steadily the progress began. Bhagwan's omniscience, omnipotence and what we say omnipresence started getting revealed very soon to me and my family members. It was a beautiful time I had with Bhagwan. in my very first interview, he had said that I will come here, that is in Patti. My parents will come and finally my full family, including my brother's family, will come here. I thought my parents, it's okay because I'm all alone, so they'll come and settle me off and they may stay back. But I was very skeptical about my brother's family coming there. And my brother, when he came first time to visit us, he just completely bowled me over by, he went around, he comes and tells my dad, Dad, can I just wind up my full business in Bombay and come off here? And that's how my brother and his family, his 2 children, his wife, when they came, Bhagwan took us all in his fold, and he made my bhabhi even do the B.Ed education in Anandpur, and so my bhabhi started working in the primary school. My brother became an executive engineer in the hospital. I was in the hospital and my dad was in the town, so the whole family was taken in the fold of Bhagwan. Now just to tell the few instances where Bhagwan would reveal his omniscience and presence, and once in the darshan line, Bhagwan came and the Akhan bhajans were getting closer. So he came and he asked me, do I sing? Okay, will you sing for the bhajans? So I replied, Swami, I do not know how to sing and all that. So he said, Kyun? Theatre mein to gata hai? So I said, Arey, now what is this? So how did he know? I had a habit of mumbling a line or two when the main part of the surgery is over. I mean, what do you call it? Stress release phenomena, or what do you call it? But I would be mumbling a line or two. Maximum it would be known to my assistant. Nobody knew that I sang, like, you know. So he indirectly told me, I know you're singing, you can sing. So that was how he was just revealing his omnipresence. And then he would reveal in the cases which I would perform, like I had done once in a 5-year-old child. It was a very tough case. The child needed a valve repair, his hole had to be closed. So when I repaired the valve, I felt like, you know, I had not done the job properly. So I dismantled everything and I redid the whole surgery. The surgery went on for a long time, but everything fell into place after a while. So next day in the darshan line, Swami came and Swami looked at me and said, Kal ek chinna papa kiya. You know, he'll start all that sign language. Kal tum ek chinna papa kiya. Pehle sab ठीक नहीं हुआ ना, दोबारा किया तुमने, फिर सब ठीक हो गया. So like, you know, he was trying to tell me that yes, I know what had happened and things like that. Then I had even one more case was there. Again, where his omnipotence is seen this. Again, it was a 5-year-old child weighing 8 kilos. We call these children blue babies. So they are all very, the surgery had gone off very well, but they're very sick children, you know. They have to be generally carried around and things like that. So what happened is the fluid from his lungs, we call it as pleural effusions, that fluid was not stopping. Everything was fine. Child was all right otherwise. So I had gone for darshan. So Swami came and again asked me, Samachar, what are you doing? What are your cases today? And things like that. So I said, Swami, everything is fine, but this child, this fluid is not stopping, Swami. So in all his mercy, he materialized Vibhuti and gave it to me. And then we all know the rest is history in a sense. The child went home completely cured. Now we call all our patients for a 3-month follow-up, like, you know. We reassess how they are doing. We call them for follow-up. So this suddenly I find at the end of 3 months, you know, I'm just looking from my department door. We have that lovely corridor. I don't know how many of you all have seen the Patti hospital. So I was just looking down the corridor and I see one small boy is running towards our area, like, you know. And I'm thinking as if I've seen him, And as he comes near, closer, I realize this is the same child whom I had operated 3 months ago. And now this child has come running, you know. Swami has cured, given him a new life. So these are the kind of instances which are so gratifying and they make you feel Bhagwan's compassion is beyond words. As regards, again, Bhagwan's omnipotence, we have heard so many stories. I have the living example. My mom she was a very, very ardent devotee. She would always tell me, the only thing I want in you now is that you should turn spiritual words. She would only see me working. So she was very, she said, now I really want you to become more, have a spiritual bend of mind and things like that. So she had one day severe neck pain, you know, and she could hardly lie down, and this went on for 2-3 days, and I was trying to give her all the kind of painkillers and things, but it didn't subside. So I decided that I have to now show her to some neurologist. So again, Bhagwan was in Bangalore that time, so I decided I'll take his permission and I will show her to some neurologist. So when I go to Vrindavan, Bhagwan calls me and then I tell him, Swami, he says, why have you come here? So I said, Swami, I've come for my mother and this and what happened. And then I tell him, Swami, she's in severe pain. She's not slept also for 3 days and things like that. So he said, call her. So then we take her inside. And Swami just puts his finger at 3 points on her arm and the pain has vanished. She's looking at, before that he wants to assure me, don't worry, this is not heart problem. She is not suffering from heart problem. I said, yes, Swami, that much I can make out, Swami. So I said, she's fine, don't worry. And then he just cures her in a CT. And then Swami likes to test his devotees as usual. So my mother ends up in a few days' time with fracture of foot. So her right foot is fractured and she's in a plaster cast. And as my mom is like, she wouldn't want to keep that cast for, she has been advised for 4 to 6 weeks. She says, nothing doing, I cannot. She gets it removed within less than 2 weeks' time. And she's saying, I'll manage the vibhuti, you don't worry about all this. And then she is such a firm person, she manages with vibhuti and cures it. So now Bhagavan wants to test her further. So after a while, she fractures her left foot. So when she fractures her left foot, this time she says, no intervention, no treatment, it's only vibhuti. And believe me, she just uses the vibhuti and cures herself until the end of her day. There was no swelling of her foot and she was running about. Of course, the last few days were bad, but she was up and about on her both feet. So that is Bhagavan. So we keep on coming across all these kind of incidents where patients whom we think are inoperable also, they end up becoming good. And we had done one very rare case. Our entire department, Bhagavan was very happy. So Bhagavan called us to bless us in the Sai Kulwant hall. So we were called on the veranda again. So I being the only lady, I was sitting on this side and all my male colleagues were seated on the other side of the veranda, and Swami was doing up and down and just talking to us and inquiring a few things. Then suddenly he turned to me and he said, who assists you in your cases? So I was thinking he's trying to say that when I operate, who are the people, who assist me in my surgeries, So I just pointed out to all my department people and I said, Swami, all of them. He said, Dharmakshetra, he said, I am your true friend, he said. And I was feeling so miserable because it was Swami who has been helping me. I should have very proudly not lost that opportunity and told Bhagavan that you are my assistant or you are my... But he is not my assistant. I always think he is the doer. So how can I say? But anyway, once again he said, I am your true friend. And it was like, oh God, Swami, it's what I'm so blessed. So like this way, so many, slowly you realize that once you come into the fold of Bhagavan, our lives are absolutely transformed. The process of transformation begins. There is a change which is brought about in all of us by Bhagavan. And then as the teaching goes, the training goes, we start realizing he tries to take you away from the doership to become an instrument. My habit has always been to pray. Whenever I pray that, Swami, you are the doer, I'm only the instrument. Make me a good instrument, God's instrument. Make me a divine child. So now he has to test you, right? Because when you make such great statements, then Bhagavan has to see whether you are really his instrument or not. So one day, I end up doing one surgery. Surgery all goes on well. It's again a small child. It is such a sad story because this mother has already lost 2 children. This is the 3rd child who is again a heart patient, and I have like my mind is hell-bent, I have to send this child home. And after the surgery, things are good, but his lungs are filled with secretions. And every second hourly or so, you have to remove that cuff from his lungs. And that is the time when my both nephews have got their summer vacation and they're coming home from primary school. And that day itself I have operated and my night duty begins because I can't leave this patient unattended. And I very clearly remember that it is 1.5 to 2 months. I struggled very hard with this patient. And then it's time for my nephews to return back and join the school. And that is the day when the patient passes away. And I am all heartbroken. I said, no, Bhagavan, this you can't be doing like this. It is very sad. And then that night he comes in my dream and he just fills my hand with vibhuti. And then he again says, just be my instrument. So we don't know. Swami's ways are inscrutable. That is the time he tries to teach you that you think you have done the case, you think you are going to send him home, you think you are the doer, so just be my instrument like so. Things like that. And again and again, it's not that everything is very rosy in Parthi, I'm not trying to complain. It's never a perfect world, right? We human beings are in Mumbai, we are in Parthi also. So this is where Bhagavan teaches all of us that do not expect to have a perfect world wherever you are, just because you are in Parthi. You become perfect if you want a perfect world. In other words, you be the change and then you want some change to be brought about. You start with yourself first. So things like that. And what more to say after physical departure? Many people have asked me whether you feel Bhagavan's presence. So I often wonder that, yeah, it's very justifiable for anybody to ask because we have been so close to the physical form of Bhagavan and we have been very attached to his form because for every small thing we would rush to Bhagavan and he was always there. So, but believe me, we have started, I would say rather for myself, started experiencing Bhagavan more and more within now. The Bhagavan, now it is that probably I can understand the Bhagavan whom everybody worships as Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba because I still get the answers to my questions in varied ways. Like I know he's not gone anywhere, he's with me, he's around me and about me. This famous saying he has told me so many times in the interview, he's always guiding and protecting me. And like again an example is like one of my patient. He had a very simple hole in the heart. It's one of the simplest cardiac surgery. So this patient is operated by my colleague, and when the surgery is over and he's closing the chest of the patient, he has a cardiac arrest. And the patient the anesthetist notices that his heart has come to a standstill and there is utter chaos and I come to know and we all rush inside. And then the chest is opened, he is put back on the heart-lung machine and things like that. And we rest the heart for a while. And again he comes off and he is absolutely fine and he goes home. And that is during that time the anesthetist tells me that as he was wheeling this patient inside into the operation theatre, he had started interacting with this patient and this patient had said he was the sole breadwinner of his family and the patient was worried like what would happen. So Bhagavan had come in his dream and he had told him, don't worry, everything will be fine, you will go home safe and sound. So I literally kind of banged the anesthetist. Had you told me, I would not be even little worried. Because when we come to know that patient has had a cardiac arrest, simplest of cases, we want them to go home, we don't want any complications. But when Bhagavan had already assured the patient and everything was, chalked out for him by Bhagavan in his dream, we knew he had to go home. Whatever happened, he would go home. So anyway, these are the small instances. Or when we take our rounds, we find one 6-year-old child. We were distributing Swami's, a lot of people give Swami's photos, so we end up giving our patients. And so somebody was distributing that and I was making my rounds. So that 6-year-old child said, oh, this person, he has come yesterday, he was talking with us. Now 6-year-old child is only going to see Bhagavan, of course not all of us. So that way he has not left us, he is still around with us. And encouraging us. So again, we have one very nice, please tell me if I should stop. We have on our electronic hospital information system, where, you know, on the click of we have the message for today from Bhagwan. And we all love to know what is Bhagwan's message for us today like. And I also have got into that habit of finding out like what is Bhagwan trying to tell me today, like, you know. So whenever I'll have a tough case or something like that, I will say, Bhagwan, I pray to you for your blessings and things like that. So when I click once in a while, of course not always, but I will get this thing that my blessings are with you, I'm proud of you, or things like, you know, wow, you did a good job today. And then there will be, so indirectly again telling you, I'm with you all the time, don't worry. And at the same time, there will be some messages which will come, don't get angry today, like, you know, behave properly, don't get annoyed, things correcting us when we are not doing our things properly. So these kind of things are such that they keep you continuously aware that Swami is with you. So again, whenever I'm leaving Puttaparthi to go to any place, nicely one caption will come on that wherever you go, I will protect you and things like that. So now I feel just to the end of it, all these years, Swami has given us so much. It's time to return back to Bhagwan in whatever small way I can and practice his values. Long ago I had asked Swami, would I serve him always in his hospital, and he had reassured me by patting that yes, he will work for me always. And with that conviction and faith, I pray to Bhagwan to keep me at his lotus feet, serving him at the hospital. And it was the 4th year of my reaching Puttaparthi. I had the habit of giving him letter every year on the 1st of February, thanking him for and taking care of me and things like that. So when that was the 4th year, Bhagwan came and took my letter, and then he said 40 years more. So I knew that I have to work for the next 40 years. So that's it, friends. I think what more to say, I feel that one's skills and knowledge and experience should be utilized for the service of others, as Bhagwan was our living example. There is no greater feeling and joy and the inspiration at the end of the service when we do it so with God as our mentor. I had to remind myself time and again to remove the feeling of doership, that I was not the only one needed to do this service. If I wasn't there, you know, someone else would have done it for Bhagwan. Swami's work would have been done regardless. So personally, the transformation is very important, for me at least, and it has connected me to his work and his mission in a way that is unique for my spiritual journey. And then selfless service always transforms us into better human beings, I feel. It's a tangible way to give back to the society and satisfy our conscience. So I believe that each one of us has got that ability to tap our conscience and do service wherever and whenever feasible. And I once again thank all of you for giving me this golden opportunity to reconnect with my origins and recollect my momentous journey with Bhagwan. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Those words have actually put us also back into flashback and many, many lessons to learn for all of us. Please, can I request All India President Ms. Nimish Pandey, please give a small token of love. Ms. Sri, please. Please.
I cannot miss this opportunity to say a few things about Neelam. My earliest memories in Mumbai were with two young girls who were of great support to Kamla and I. One is Neelam and another is Aurora's daughter. And they were both very good friends. Varsha was there. And I can tell all of you that the most dynamic people in the years of late 70s and 80s in Bal Vikas blossomed in the Mumbai city, the two very strong pillars and support that I had was Neelam and Varsha. They were great supports to us at that time. And a lot of Bal-Vikas developed. In fact, I used to always complain, what's wrong, why she pick up a doctor? She should have continued here in Mumbai as a Bal-Vikas. But I didn't know that she had the hands to cut open hearts and bring them back to life, which was a far better way of bringing children back to life in many ways. But what's the most important thing which strikes me, and I must say today is Eshwaramma Day. If Mother Eshwaramma had a dream of a hospital, and if God wanted to fulfill that dream, the instrument that God chose to fulfill the wish of Eshwaramma is Neelam. And I think that is the great vision that we have today. And that is the vision that we have. The greatness lies there. When I was young and she was younger, I used to look at it in awe of her. And today, the whole world looks with great respect and awe at Dr. Neelam Desai for having done what she's done all her life. Thank you for being an inspiration. Maybe those days I was elder to you, but today I stand in awe of you and be inspired by your dedication. And all of us in this world aside are dedicated and inspired by what you've done. Thank you very much.
We all enjoy bhajans, but solo singing has also been a part of our organization programs. Does anyone know who was the first solo singer of the Satya Sai organization? Yes, it was Swami, who used to sing in the wedding ceremonies of his favorite devotees, actually, close devotees, having the program as a Pata Kacheri. Today, some of our alumni are going to sing some solo songs. Anupama will sing Janam Kiya Tune Sai Ko, Kavita and Gayatri, Dil Ye Kehta Hai Maa, Namita and Tejasri, O Sai Maa, Chitra will sing Mere Sai Ki Parthi Nagariya. They are accompanied by Sai Ganesh, who is a student from Parthi, who is playing the harmonium, and on the tabla we have a student from Dharmakshetra school, Vaibhav Shinde.
जन्म दिया तूने साई को, हम पे किया उपकार। Thank you.
Bal Vikas alumnus will propose a vote of thanks.
Salam to all sisters and brothers gathered here. If we were to summarize the life of Mother Eshwaramma, there are two aspects that stand out. One is her immense love for Swami, and the second is her constant efforts towards the happiness and welfare of everyone. Her love for all was so very pure and selfless, just like an eternal mother. And that's the reason why we celebrate 6th of May as Mother's Day. We thank Dr. Neelam Desai for gracing this event. We're very grateful to you, ma'am, for sharing your experiences with Swami. It resonates the fact that Swami has just got his own plans. He wills and everything falls in place. For he is the director and we are just the witnesses. As we're stepping into the 50th year of the Bal Vikas movement, it deserves a special mention that the proceedings of this evening were spearheaded and presented by Bal Vikas alumni. Starting from the Master of Ceremonies, Mrs. Purnima Kamath, she is a Bal Vikas alumnus and a Bal Vikas guru. Mrs. Devi Rajagopal, who is again a Bal Vikas alumnus, and she is also the coordinator. She is the coordinator for Bal Vikas in the city of Mumbai. The people who recited the Veda today, they are all Bal Vikas gurus or alumni. We all know that even our chief guest for the day, Dr. Neelam Desai, she was also very active in Bal Vikas before she moved to Patri. Everything, right from the choreography of the dances by Ms. Amrita Nambiar, to the devotional songs that you all just heard, to even this vote of thanks, everything is being presented by Bal Vikas alumni. We shall now have Aarti, followed by which we request everyone to collect prasad. Thank you. Silence.
ओम श्री साई राम। मैं बाल विकास का अलुमनाई नहीं हूँ। आज का ये आनंद परमानंद ईश्वरम्मा का प्रोग्राम इसलिए भी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि हम 12 मई के नज़दीक पहुँच रहे हैं, जो कि 50वीं वर्षगांठ है धर्मक्षेत्र की। ये स्वर्ण जयंती के अवसर पर आप सबसे निवेदन है कि आप लोग यहाँ पर ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा नंबर में आकर भगवान का प्रसाद पाएं। सुबह 5:30 बजे से यहाँ प्रोग्राम शुरू होंगे। सवेरे सुप्रभातम और उसके बाद में नगर संकीर्तन के बाद यहाँ पर एक मूर्ति की स्थापना है। आनंद कुटीर के पास में शिरडी साईं बाबा की मूर्ति की स्थापना है। आप सबसे निवेदन है कि आप आएँ और आकर के प्रसाद ग्रहण करें। और शाम को ऐसा ही एक बहुत रुचिकर और आनंदमय प्रोग्राम होगा जिसकी रूपरेखा मैं आपको एक व्हाट्सएप के द्वारा सर्कुलेट करूंगा, आप लोगों तक पहुंच जाएगा। तो आप लोग सब आकर उस प्रोग्राम का आनंद लें। बहुत अच्छा प्रोग्राम है, म्यूजिक का प्रोग्राम है, भजन का प्रोग्राम है, अच्छे लोगों के संस्मरण हैं जिन्होंने कि धर्म क्षेत्र को शुरू दिन से, जिस दिन से यहाँ पर नींव की खुदाई हुई है उस दिन से लेकर और उसके बाद में जो अब तक के उनके एक्सपीरियंस हैं वो सब शेयर होंगे। इसलिए आप लोग सबसे निवेदन है कि अपनी अपनी समितियों में इस प्रोग्राम को अनाउंस करें और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा नंबर में यहाँ पर मौजूद हों। और जब मैं खड़ा हो गया हूँ तो डॉक्टर मिस्त्री जैसा हमेशा कहते हैं तो 2 लाइनें कहे बिना जाऊँगा नहीं मैं। आज का ये आनंद और वो अर्थ, आज का ये आनंद और वो अर्थ, मतलब भगवान, आज का ये आनंद और वो अर्थ और वो नहीं तो सब व्यर्थ।